Oh, you can help me, Crawford. You can't see me. I'm on the different frequency of flesh and heads and purple lighting, like you see. And you see it because, yeah, you can watch it. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to today's episode of Should I Watch It From Beyond 1986, Stuart Gordon. Um, I wow, I don't know how I got to see this film. I mean, this really, from the advertising itself, I had already seen Reanimator. I'm guessing we're talking about 1987 because of a rather grim incident which happened at secondary school. Must have been the first year. Um, so I would have been 11, maybe going on 12. From Beyond. This time I understand it's a bit more culty. Young student, played by Jeffrey Coombs, Crawford, is working for credit for a professor, Dr. Pretorius, on creating something called a resonator. The resonator will allow you to perceive the other frequencies of reality. Um, in one ways, it becomes a two-way street as you look into the abyss and the pervy monsters look into you and go, food. At the same time, it was revealed that Dr. Pretorius, a rather dubious and later on it's revealed impotent S&M beastie, is willfully trying to merge with these greater entities in order to consume the world, the aphrodisiac of eating someone else's mind, sapiosexual, taken to a cannibalistic level. Um, yeah. Throughout this film, though, what happens is there's a massive cold open where this incident occurs. Sorry, it's just that the sounds of beasts is actually behind me much more than I thought it would be. And I don't do retakes because, there's a lo-fi frequency sort of thing going on. After the first event, it looks like Pretorius has had his head bitten off, and Crawford finds himself in an asylum where he comes into the case of a Dr. Catherine McMichaels, played very gamely by Barbara Crampton, who sees that there is something in this and insists that she is able to take Crawford back to the home, although taken with a security stroke orderly plus role of Bobber Brownlee, as played by Ken Forey. They attempt to reenact the initial experiment, get exposed to these creatures, and Dr. Pretorius himself. Uh, while they're able to stop it initially, the beast that is Pretorius at this point is able to continue to rebuild the machine from the other dimension, from beyond, and pursue them. This takes on a rather aphrodisiac level. Catherine finally comes to decide. I mean, not that anyone is just looks like anyone's just going to follow just a prim, stunning blonde woman in a lab coat and glasses. Charlie Bond just don't even. Uh, as part of this is this resonator. Is it basically awakens any sexual awakenings in you, anything that's been repressed, and it is done in terms of sensuality. You are so banned from the comments, Charlie. I see you down there, not down there, there. Stop it. Um, in the case of Catherine's character, once again they're able to turn it off, and what ends the film is sadly a rather chaotic third act where Crawford's own mutation means he's got a and is running around eating brains. Um, until finally, Catherine and Crawford confront Pretorius and are able to destroy the machine and ensure that the creatures from beyond stay there. So, my thoughts on it. Wow. Mixed bag given the last act. My experience of it, I hadn't seen the film since I saw it at 11. And this is because there's a very early scene in it where during the middle act, Catherine's basically sexually awoken to herself. And it is played in a very sensual level. She is an S&M gear, but it's not like, oh, wow, here's some titillation. It's done very sort of low key and is more about her discovering herself with Prone Crawford. You are so banned. Just don't even. bit that got me as an 11-year-old, and ironically, the only bit I really remembered from this film is she shoves his hand down his pants and then licks it, and I just went, she's drunk, wee wee." This made me sort of heave a bit. I told my friends Stuart and Brian at school about this. So, knowing that I had a slight vulnerability to this imagery, would wander around the back of the shed, showing "Fubion, Fubion," until I would vom. Crazy, crazy days. We didn't have the internet then. Watching it now really made me realize that of all the characters, Catherine is the only one that has an arc. And if anything, this is a massive apology, I wouldn't be surprised, from Stuart Gordon to Barbara Crampton, because you really do see her develop here. You go from this rather logical, repressed scientific woman who's suddenly exposed to her own feelings, understanding her own sexuality and her own beauty in a sense, until the final act where, after these things are reconciled and not being an object for anyone else or her own desires, she really is the character of agency. uh, During the middle act, she understands that freezing the machine would be one great way to stop it from working. Sadly, while Bubba dies, himself, someone who shows the actual self-control. I think there's the mix there of the blue collar and being the only prominent black character in the film. In fact, albeit maybe some extras, but really the only black actor in the films. Sort of playing on the idea of frequencies and sensibilities, I think there, and Dom played very well. He understands that this is ruined. He understands that this stuff has to be done. The abstract academic side to it, from both the doctors Crawford and Catherine, needed to be brought back into check. But as we end, you're now looking at a very fully realized Catherine in regular woman's clothes, jacket and jeans, able to get her hands on a bomb. Again, the last act has this sort of issues for me, um, but knows exactly what to do. Has a certain level of wit once he sees these creatures coming at her when she's been tied up. At the end, she knows the best thing to do is, despite the pain, is to make sure that she gets them to bite the manacles off of her. Her fall out of the window, it was a desperate gamble, and the fact that they bothered to do a really gruesome knee bone protrusion, um, as she laughs hysterically, really shows a certain commitment to that role. On the other hand, Jeffrey Combs, who starts the film in a much more humane way than he does as Herbert West, sadly is lumbered with bizarre prosthetics and the penal gland. No, you know what I meant. Try and just Can you just stop? Um, and the brain eating just seems really random. It doesn't help that you've got this really badly dated, pixelated computer filter to show his view has been heightened into extra sensibilities. On reflection, I would say that this is a good film to watch. It's a great concept initially, but unfortunately, much like society, which I'll touch on, I'm sure, in another film, the anthropomorphic hierarchical flesh molding towards the end, as grotesque and as mesmerizing as it can be, cannot really patch together the lack of coherence, um, that does mar the final act. I don't need him to be going around eating people's eyes to get to their brains. I really don't. Um, you know, Catherine's gain is Crawford's loss in a sense there. I would say though that it is definitely worth a watch. It's quite a brisk film at 86 minutes. I just feel that the last part could have brought this down to 78. Crawford didn't need to go so eyeball brain gougy, and you could have had not necessarily a softer ending, but something where you definitely had more sympathy. His death would definitely have more pathos if he wasn't going around eating randoms. Uh, though having said that, I love a little bit of infrastructure. There is a little bit of infrastructure when you get back to a hotel, hospital, and you see reality. I didn't say hotel because uh, Catherine is in a nightgown. I said, will you just stop? So yeah, and there is no wee wee. I really think Stuart's got a band now called Black Helium. So do feel free. to buy tickets for that and check out his albums. They're actually really good fun. So that's me, not so much from Beyond, but from Boudoir. And I'll say good night to you on that.